I just had to take my eyes off of situation and put it back on God. But now with expectation, just remembering who he is. Because sometimes, people, we may think like they're disappointing us or whatever, but God is consistently good.
A lot of times when that scripture is used or cited or whatever, it's from the standpoint of we're gonna get what we want, as opposed to no matter what. It's actually good.
Yep. You get just tired of you get tired of expecting and expecting for what your level of God moving.
Yeah.
What that looks like. Get focused. Anyway, welcome to Refocus. Here we reaffirm and reestablish God's purpose for relationships, lifestyle, and culture. And we do that by challenging the norms with word, wisdom, and love. For those of you who are new here, I am Essence.
And for those of you who are not new here, I'm Anthony.
Cool. Cool.
Is this gonna be fun?
I don't know.
It sounds like it.
How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling I ain't gonna say blah. I'm just whelmed. Like how people say they're overwhelmed, or some of you people say they're underwhelmed.
So what is whelmed then?
I don't know.
So
it's just like, ain't it? Wouldn't it be?
Middle.
Yeah.
It's in the middle.
Yeah. All right. Like I ain't really.
I got you.
I ain't really. It ain't really
like you're in the in between.
Yeah.
You're not bad. You're not good. You're just.
Yeah,
you're content.
I'm content. I'm I guess a little cautious with what the terms we had to come with. I feel like last night in some parenting with sleep and stuff like that. They got a little intense, more intense than I would have wanted last night.
Yeah. I don't know if it's anybody else that has a 4-year-old, right? That was really good at sleeping, right? But getting in bed, good night, mom, good night, dad. And then out of nowhere decides we literally cannot sleep without us.
Yeah.
It's almost like we're held prisoner in our child's room until he sleep. And I was reading something though that said sleep is instinctual. Like he knows that he's tired. He knows he needs to go to sleep. And so, but also I read that we're not the only ones, that they just kind of, I don't know what it is. I'm like, I don't care how much comforting though that we give our son. He can know we're coming back. We can leave the door open. No, we can't leave the door open because he'd be outside of it. It's ridiculous. I don't know what's going on right now.
We're getting you a bed.
He'll stand at his door and say, "You in bed? Get in my bed." Like, no, you're gonna get in your bed. Don't get in bed with me. I'm like, come on, mom, lay down, close your eyes. And I'm like, I don't want to lay down in your bed and close my eyes. And so we just realized that I didn't think we'd be here sleep training him again.
Yeah.
We did that years ago and it worked and it was a success. And now here we are again, sleep training.
I guess it's just it's a sleep regression. And
I don't want to put that term on it because it's not quite the same.
Why not?
It's not that he's not tired though. Like sometimes the struggle of going to sleep and, him waking up in the middle of the night, like that's more of the sleep regression. But like, this ain't got nothing to do with a sleep regression. My dog don't want to sleep without us.
No.
I could have
seen it as a sleep regression. It got to do with sleep. It's like I text you yesterday. It reminds me of when we first started sleep training him.
Sleep training
4 years ago.
That's not a sleep regression though, because he don't have an issue with sleeping. He has an issue with sleeping without us. That's not the issue. If I slept in the bed with him or I let him come in bed with me,
out
like a light. That's not a
but there
sleep
couldn't
regression.
be. So what could it be there? There could be a form
He might be anxious about something. He might be afraid. He might just be clinging to us. I don't know what it is. Okay, clearly we ain't figured it out because it's still happening. So
we're gonna be thugging it out these next couple of days.
I'm leaving you hanging
because
you didn't leave me hanging these last few weeks. Me, so I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I agree though. I'm kind of in the in between, or maybe you know how if I move the meter, it's not like in the middle, but it might be a little further.
Mm-hmm. From the middle point, you just a little bit past positive.
Yeah,
gotcha.
A little bit past positive.
Yeah.
We have hope though.
We do.
We have hope. I'm not talking about our son. I'm just in general.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt a little heavier today.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I wonder if we had a counseling session yesterday.
Yeah, I did. I think the counseling session was great.
Yeah. Do you think some of what we were able to discover in the session is kind of was like contributing to our whelmedness?
I think so. I don't know. That's from the things that we learned in the session, as well as just things that have been happening for the last few days in general. Oh, those children sure will worry you, won't they?
Yeah. Yeah, they will.
They're a warrior, but I was actually went on live and I was just talking about, looking at your situation is easy, right? It's easy to look at a situation and just be like overwhelmed. Not whelmed, but overwhelmed by it. And just look at all the indicators, all the factors that tell you the opposite of what it is that God told you. And so you look at that and it's easy to kind of like lose hope and be sad and, all that stuff. And so I just had to take my eyes off of situation and put it back on God. But not with expectation, just remembering who he is. Because sometimes, people, we may think like they're disappointing us or whatever, but God is consistently good. And so because he's consistently good, I need to remind myself. It was the Victor Thompson song, Dependable? Mm-hmm. It's such a beautiful song, but it's one that helps me like remember how good God is, and just literally dependable God. No matter what comes my way, you're still God.
Still God.
Intentional God. You love me so much. And it's almost like, that's all you really need is God loves you. His plans for you are good. He's a dependable God. He is an intentional God. And no matter what comes my way, he is still that.
I think that's the perspective of Romans 8:28 that is the truest form of it, of that scripture. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of times when that scripture is used or cited or whatever, it's from the standpoint of we're gonna get what we want, as opposed to what the song says. No matter what? It's actually good. Yep. Regardless of how good it feels to our flesh or our life, it's actually good regardless. And he is dependable. And he is intentional. And in that is where the motivation or the inspiration should be for us to feel that and push that out as well. Yeah. And that's hard. That's what our council session was on.
Yeah, it's difficult because you're good. Like when you think of good, you can't think of good in the sense of what's good to you. Mm-hmm. So how do you what he's doing is good. It's all for your good, right? And so your good don't look like his good. So how do you call it good? That's difficult. Yep. That's hard.
Yep.
It's hard because it don't seem good to you.
Yeah.
It just don't.
Yeah.
So I always use these like little things where if I use Noah for an example of, I know what's not good for you, but he doesn't realize that in his mind, it is good for him. And so it's like, I'm just depriving him of something, but I'm like, no, it's not good for you. It's not good for your overall health. But I'm sitting here like, too, but like, what I'm asking you for is not bad.
Yeah.
I know, or that is not bad. It's like normal things that I'm asking you for. And,
Yet and
he
still.
decides something else.
Yep. Yet and still, it's not still the desired trait. So that's where, so it's like we just going right back into our council session. It's like that's where the faith and the patience and everything is really and truly. I can't even say tested.
It's not.
It's not tested. It's a maturity coming into it of really leaning in and training ourselves to understand that.
Yeah.
Which is what it's difficult because it's what we know and have learned over all these years. But now when we're in the actual situation, when we're in I can't even say situation, when we actually have the opportunity to utilize, to lean in on and understand what it means to live in that, it's like now it's kind of difficult. It makes it difficult. Yeah. It makes it promising because it's like, all right, I got the cheat code. I got the way to go. So I at least know in my brain that, okay, mathematically, but in my mind still has to catch up to the truth of what that is.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's just a lot. I don't know. I just feel a little heavier today, but I think you just always got that thing where it just brings you through, which is the hope in Christ and belief that it is good and it's all right.
Yeah. You know what, too? Our spirits might be a little sensitive right now, too.
I think it might be. Yeah.
Because since we've been fasting.
You wanted to tell people that?
I'm not. My face is not downcast. I'm not saying woe is me.
Oh.
I'm not. But it's the truth. Yeah, I think our spirits might be a little sensitive right now, too. Which is good. It's the point. That's the point, right? That's the point of, I was doing some extra digging into like the purpose of fasting, and it is to be a constant reminder, basically, of giving ourselves to him and praying for whatever it is that we're praying on. So yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Clearly we're just being very, transparent and honest about where we are. Some days are high, super high. Some days are mid. And some days just low.
Yeah.
But I mean, you get just tired of expecting and expecting for what your level of God moving.
Yeah.
What that looks like. Because we already know. I'll be like, low-key. I'll be in the bed like, I say these things and I like roll my own eyes at it. Because I'm like, I know. God is working things out in the background. It's like, I'm not meaning to like roll my eyes about it, but it's like,
Come on.
Yeah. But I'm like, hey, chill too, Essence, because you don't need to be rushing to be doing nothing. So it's like, I don't know. You know how you roll your eyes because you start to say things to yourself that other people probably don't want you to be saying it then when they're going through something because it really don't fix nothing, but it is fixing something, but it don't fix nothing. It's like, and do it whenever. Count it all joy. I'm like, don't tell me that again.
Yeah.
But It's true.
Especially when you like knee deep in it. Or and then the time frame that you're knee deep in it for those spurts where you get neck deep in it, I don't want to hear it. Like, I don't want to hear it. Job has been a very good example these last few weeks, few months even.
Yeah.
But Job was neck deep in it. His homeboys.
Some of them came with some things, and some of them came with some things that they shouldn't have.
So he was neck deep in it. His homeboys did the right thing the first time. The first part of them being there. And then while he was neck deep in it, even though what they were saying was facts.
Not everything they were saying was facts.
It was still him being neck deep in it and not receiving it. It's just he neck deep in it. I don't want to hear this. I just lost everything. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. Not saying that he was right for that either. But it's almost like there's a consistent theme or a consistent thing that can be seen and observed in just how we are and how we take on issues.
Yeah.
And the constant need and prodding and reminding of what needs to be done or how it needs to be taken to as we work out of them and work through them and just live our lives. Because it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
When tough times come.
When tough times come, though, it'd be like, I know I need to push because not pushing doesn't help. You just want to quit. But it'd be like, okay, there's no benefit of quitting either. I know there's a benefit of me staying strong and all these qualities that it builds in me. Like, I get it. But it's almost like it would just be so much easier to just quit it, not care. And I wouldn't even say that I've ever been a quitter. I think more of an overachiever. And then, an overachiever, or if it's something I just didn't care about, I wouldn't even say I quit it. I just didn't put all of it into it. It really just depends on the situation. But that's what I see, just from a lot of times when you see people going through things, they just give up. They just quit. Yeah. I know you were saying something about a conversation that you had with one of your friends a couple weeks ago.
No, yeah, about me thinking that I'm not thinking that I am, but teasing out the idea or the possibility of me being a quitter. I'm not necessarily saying I am.
Yeah.
This is just something that I'm thinking through, like a recent semi-thought revelation, self-check, if you will. Am I a quitter? Like I think about the things that I've done in my past, right? So sports I played, and like went to school, walked onto the football team, quit playing on the football team because they didn't want me to run track, but they also didn't want to give me a scholarship. So I stopped.
Right.
At the time, seemed justified. Track, I got kicked off the team, but I also got kicked off the team because I wasn't balancing my priorities well. So ended up getting kicked off the team. Even though it was time leaving, running a business. It was time to stop. We got the word from God that we weren't supposed to. But that's still something that I stopped. Photography business. Something that I stopped. What else? I'm just seeing this. I'm just like taking inventory of this pattern, and I'm measuring myself. Like, man, are you a quitter? Because then I line it up to, you look at anyone who has been in or moved in any type of way or capacity to where they've been impactful, they do it for a long time.
Yeah.
Like a long time. I haven't done anything for a long time, right? Like outside of us. But like just stuck with something for a long time. And it's almost like I got a fear that I never will.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Why do you, because I'm going to ask you a few things because there's a few things that kind of popped in my head.
Mm-hmm.
One, why did you immediately go to something kind of negative? You immediately labeled yourself, or picking at, am I a quitter?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. But then you said you play football.
Uh-huh.
They didn't want to give you a scholarship. They wanted you to quit track.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't sound like you quit. You ended it.
Uh-huh.
You know how to end things.
Huh.
Okay. 2, you didn't quit track. You were a kid whose priorities got mixed up, and you had to get refocused. So you didn't necessarily quit track. You was released from track so that you could focus on what was necessary, what was more important than track at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Business. You were ordered to end it.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't quit it. You ended it. I didn't hear any instance in there
Of me actually quitting.
of you being a quitter.
Except photography. I basically quit. Basically. Kind of. Basically.
You ended it.
Okay.
You didn't quit photography because last time I checked, you still pick up a camera. You ended the business relationship with photography and started the passionate ministry of photography.
So you saying I haven't quit anything.
It doesn't sound like you quit anything. And why does you doing things for long periods of time symbolize you being successful or not quitting it? Because we got to be able to, as long as you go and do whatever God told you to do, if it's a season of ending it, even if it was for 2 years, we ended it.
Yeah.
And then you moved on to what you were supposed to do. That doesn't make you a quitter. That makes you one, obedient because God told you to do one of those things, one or two of those things, and you did it. And then I think God orchestrates endings. And I think you've been obedient in ending things well. And like I said, you didn't quit photography. You do free photo shoots whenever you want to give to people.
Yeah.
You take your camera and you use it as a ministry, not as a means to gain money. In a culture that tells you to take your passion and pimp it out to make a coin. God told you to pull back, use it for ministry because you do give back with it and just love it. You didn't quit photography. You quit photography business. You're not a quitter. Not a quitter. I think when we look at ourselves, we automatically we're just naturally hard on ourselves.
Yeah, we are.
So we label it. We label ourselves these horrible things. And I'm not saying that we've never quit things. You know what I'm saying? Because if we did, I'm like, dang, bro, I gave up. Like, that's not cool. I probably shouldn't have gave up. I should have probably fought and pushed through. But doing something for a long period of time does not symbolize success and not being a quitter. Because people can do long periods of time and do things for long periods of time and be trash at it. And never quit when they should have quit. All because they don't want to be labeled a quitter.
Yeah.
I just think we're naturally hard on ourselves and we take on these labels of being a quitter. Like literally people are like, you're a quitter. If you just give up, you just gave up. I'm like, no, that is where this ended for me.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that I'm a quitter. This is where the story of that in my life ended.
That's where it ended.
When we decided to walk away from business, that didn't make me a quitter. And nor did I give up or you a quitter. We didn't give up on wanting more.
Yeah.
We gave up on our own plan. And see, immature people wouldn't be able to understand that. Whenever God says end something, I end it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't quit it because of whatever reason, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm obedient to what God says. So you're not a quitter.
Interesting.
You end things when it's time for that season to be ended.
Okay.
I think we just got to give ourselves a little bit more grace in those things. Because when I'm sitting here listening to you, I'm like, what did he quit?
That's crazy though, that you can hear that. But for me, I'm toying with the idea of working through, processing out. Am I a quitter? And,
I've seen you push through more things than
everything that I bring up, when you hear it, you don't hear quit at all. In not one instance, you didn't hear that.
I didn't hear it.
And I think the thing, well, I mentioned it, but I look at people who have like been able to build things that help so many people, have organizations that help so many people, have churches that help so many people, and the pastors, right? And it's like, bro, they've been doing all this stuff for decades. They've been doing these things for decades. Have I given? These are the questions that I had been asking. Have I given myself enough time? Given myself enough time to like establish those things.
But mind you, too, you're 34.
Yeah.
We're so young.
Yeah.
It's young. And on top of that, could we be okay with? Like, we look at the people and they like 40 years in the game, we say all the people that they help, right? You can look at, from the outside, you can look at a church and be like, dang, that's a lot of people that they've helped. But I don't even think sometimes you realize the seed that you sprinkled on fields. Your ability to know, like, I don't have to stay here for 40 years to make a huge impact.
Yeah.
I could stay right here, sprinkle this seed and fertilize this ground, and then I'll be out the picture and somebody else come in and that ground has completely sprouted up. And because you weren't right there, it looked like you didn't do much, but you were right there before that seed, when that ground had nothing on it. You sprinkled all this seed. You knew, all right, all I need to do is sprinkle the seed. I'm moving on. And we look at them people and we're like, oh, they did all this. No, you've done a lot.
Yeah.
You've sown a lot. You've sprinkled seed in so many different places. We just can't see it by the number.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I feel like, and we talked about this too, like sometimes I feel like God will bring us into stuff for us to be those people. That insight, this play, we'll play the background role, would be that insight, that assistance to other people. And then he moves us somewhere else, right? And so, but we've contributed, to things. So just because you haven't done something for a long period of time, one thing for a long period of time, and look how malleable you are. Look how much he can stretch you.
That's an interesting way to think about it. And thanks for helping me on the other side of the processing, because when you process stuff by yourself, you're only getting your own perspective, and that's not a good way to process stuff, because it's not a true processing. It's just accepting. But yeah, that's okay. That's an interesting way to think about it. Ooh.
I mean, who says you got to be in one little thing? And who knows, God might be taking you there.
Yeah.
But on the process of you getting there, you just sprinkling seed all the way around. And, I think where we are, and we've talked about this too, is just like, God, what do you want from us?
Yeah.
Like when we first moved, it was like, we just out here floating, being obedient, whatever he say, not really knowing. But we've also felt as very free. Like we got an idea, but we're like, I don't know, God. We just doing what you say do. And I think sometimes those thoughts are easy to creep up in our head too, when we feel like he got us just out here floating. But we're not about to take on no negative labels. Right, we're not even about to do that.
I receive that.
We're not about to do that. Because last time I checked, you've been pushing through with working. You've been pushing through with even like days that you don't want to, like I said, days you don't want to work. And then all the stuff that we've been dealing with, we could have easily just said, you know what? done.
Yeah.
And we haven't.
Yeah.
And this has been the most trivial. It's been the most tumultuous time we've experienced. And we haven't given up on any of the areas, any of them. My man, I don't feel like, but we haven't given up on any of them. So, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think you a quitter. If
That's
anything,
good.
I see you be pushing.
That's good.
Because you a Mr. Fix-It. You like, you know what was funny? There was one thing you said about yourself was like, there's so much I want to learn how to do. How you going to learn how to do all those things staying in one thing?
That's true.
My guy, there was something wrong with the car. You ain't never worked on cars. Okay? I'm going to figure this out. Then you go back to the store, come back and figure it out. I'm going to go back to the store. I'm going to come back and figure it out. And guess what you do? Figure it out. And then if you can't, you like, you know what? I'm going to just call in some help and ask somebody something.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see you give up. I see you pushing the envelope and trying harder and harder to get it done. No.
So that's an interesting thing then to say about ourselves then. Why do we default to these negative views of ourselves? Right?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes it has a lot to do with just how we think about how we view ourselves in general.
But are most people like that?
Maybe not. Some people think very, very highly of themselves. I think it's a self-question. Like not everybody is like that. Or sometimes we just literally, it's culture that beeps in. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, you may see what we did when we quit and walked away from business from people who are super bag chasers who are hell-bent on things being one particular way or doing this particular venture. We're a quitter in their eyes because we gave up on something that they just could never see themselves giving up on. The same way somebody could call us a quitter is the same way I can turn around as you don't know when to quit. Mm-hmm. Both can be bad. Mm-hmm. Not knowing when to quit and being a quitter.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just sometimes how we view ourselves, just being naturally hard on ourselves. Mm-hmm. And I think you want to be great. We want to be really great at whatever it is that we do. We want to honor Christ with it.
Yeah.
And so sometimes ending stuff, we can label ourselves that. Yeah. Or we take on culture's perspective of being a quitter. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of different things that contribute to people, viewing themselves like that. Culture, things that may have been said, to them or over them as maybe children, things that they've seen growing up. Yeah. I just think you end things well.
That's interesting. So then there needs to be a way there is a way, but where we train ourselves in loving ourselves, regardless of what our fleshly mind comes up with, and believing a lie that the enemy is trying to tell us.
Yeah.
Maybe one way to counteract it is like, okay, so if anything that we could see or pick up on as something that God didn't say about us, or the enemy did say about us, I think we need to try to look at the inverse of it. Look at the opposite. Mm-hmm. Or more plainly, look at what else could be negatively impacted if I were to actually think and believe this way. Mm. So if, let's say, I'll go with the thing that I'm a quitter, what is that going to do for the rest of my life? What is that going to do for the things around me? It'll probably be, here's a super, super extreme one. I'd be okay with quitting our marriage. There would be something in there that would be okay with accepting and quitting a marriage, because at the end of it, there's something that there's something in there that would be like, okay, yeah, no, if it ain't working out for you how you think it's supposed to work out, then.
Now, what I want to ask you is, what made you that been the first thing that popped in your head for an example to use?
I said extreme.
Because now he got me tight. In the show.
I said extreme.
He trying to catch the hands. Because, no. Because, boy, don't love me.
Or like, I just want to quit life, or quit the pursuit of growing, or quit, you know what I mean? What would happen with that? I probably wouldn't be as great of a father. I probably wouldn't have the skills needed to tend to you or tend to our son as I need to as we go and grow through life when he comes into certain things, or what, whatever it may be. I think a piece of it is looking at what really could be affected believing a lie that the devil is trying to place on us.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so many things. Everything that God wants us to do could be potentially affected by it. Because if God say, hey, go do this, well, why God? I'm a quitter. I'm this, I'm that. I don't believe I even have what it is that I need in order to do what it is that you told me to do.
Yeah.
But I think what you just did, like kind of talking about it and having that community of people who will give you help, because sometimes we struggle with saying things like, hey, you know what I was thinking? Therapy, account, you know what I'm saying? Like I was thinking. And it's like my friend had told me, create a timeline. Why do you think that? Why do you feel that way? Well, let's run it down. And you ran it down. And sometimes it just help. We need that help with the perspective of things.
Yeah. And
I'm not saying that my perspective is completely accurate. You know what I'm saying? It could be wrong. I might have a bias, but from just listening to it, no, you're not a quitter. I think sometimes it just helps to funnel those thoughts through people, not for through our word first. And if that's something that we think we come through with the realization of, talk to people about it. Like, what do you think? Do you think that there's been actions of mine that have made me be a quitter? Have you seen that from me? Because in my mind, that's what I'm seeing from myself, but I could be wrong. Give ourselves a benefit of the doubt. We have skewed perceptions.
Yeah, we do.
Period. So maybe I'm wrong.
Windows.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong about myself, just like I can be wrong about other things. So if the good thing is that you're in search of growth, if that is the reality, but let me just take it to my community and ask them, like, has that been something that you observed from me? Let me talk to my counselor. Let's work backwards and kind of see, these things. But having people and actually opening up, and this is why we talk about the power of vulnerability. And I love reading and listening to Brene Brown. Her audio, her speaking engagements, and reading her books about the power of vulnerability and the depth of relationships that you can explore and how much you learn about yourself, the freedom in vulnerability. And so I think when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable and talk about those type of things with our friends and our significant others, or just our community in general, we're better off. Because what would have benefited you to say, I think I'm a quitter, man.
Yeah.
You
would not even think. I just accept it. I'm a quitter.
I'm a quitter.
Yeah.
All right. Like,
that would have affected the perspective and the way I look at anything that I do for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm like, bruh, look at all the good you've done in those things. Even though if we be real transparent, like, even though we walked away from business and things that we thought, in the pursuit of that, you know how many people opened the Bible that did not open a Bible, didn't know anything about Jesus? You know how many people who did a fast and never did a fast? You know how many seed we were able to sprinkle on ground before God transitioned us to something else?
That's true.
We didn't quit. We ended it. Our season was over.
It was over.
And we were obedient to where else God was taking us.
Yeah.
We didn't fail there. To certain people in business, you're a quitter, you failed, and we're the laughing stock of it all. But okay, I did my part. I'm okay with ending seasons that are supposed to be ended and moving on to other things because I got other seed that I need to lay.
Yep. That's good.
With whatever I learned in that season.
That's good.
So If I'm a quitter,
So be it.
I quit well.
So,
So be it.
well. I quit well.
I know when I'm supposed to end things.
I like that. I quit well. That's a good.
I didn't quit. You didn't quit under stress. You didn't quit under the feeling of I can't do this.
Yeah.
All those things that you talked about too. I actually know you didn't quit because you feel like I can't do this. You didn't quit because I just don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
None of those were the instances.
Mm.
So
Make that a shirt.
what?
I quit well.
I don't know if I like it yet. I don't think I like that.
That's good. That's good.
That's
one.
why I kind of changed. I don't think I like that quit well.
That's good. That's good. It's actually good.
Mm. You always want to put everything on a shirt.
Cause man, shirts are we it helps to express who we are.
There's some things I would put on the shirt.
You got some expressive shirts up in your closet.
I do.
You know.
Some a little too expressive. But
I got nothing else.
I don't either. I think that's good.
Yeah, I thought that was
I think that's good where we could just end there and go back and do what it is God tells us to do, and then come back and talk to y'all a little bit more.
Continue
but
going.
sometimes we are out of focus in how we see ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes being in community, always being in communication with Christ as well as in our word helps us to see things much more clear. So if you're kind of out of focus on how you view yourself, and you need to actually see clear, get in community, talk to the people who love you, read your word, and get connected with Christ, so He can help adjust your lenses to see things clear.
That's really
see
good.
yourself better.
That's good. That's good. Well, continue to work on that. like
As
we
we
continue
will.
to work on that. And let that move you into staying focused and refocusing.
Yep.
So till next time, you got anything else?
That's it.
I don't. All right. Peace out, y'all.
Bye.
Stay focused.